Hi, the SI meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Monday, October 22nd. In general, it looks like a very nice week here in the Mid-Atlantic region with warm conditions and generally dry weather. There can be a shower or two, especially in the New York City region late Tuesday into the early part of Wednesday as warmer air tries to advance to the north and east. Once that warm front passes by, it looks like Wednesday could actually feature some near record high temperatures way up in the 70s. And again, all in all, looks like a pleasant week with warm conditions and plenty of sunshine, mostly dry, right through the work week and into the early part of the weekend. However, all eyes will really be focused elsewhere as we have a developing situation here that could result in a major storm near the East Coast in about a week's time. A couple of different main players here. One is a tropical system is getting itself together over the Caribbean Sea this morning. It's not even a tropical storm at this point, but it shows some indications that it will strengthen into a tropical storm and perhaps even a hurricane over the next several days as it moves north from the Caribbean Sea, perhaps across Jamaica and Cuba into the western Atlantic. Meanwhile, a deep upper level trough is getting itself together off the west coast right now. That has a lot of cold air behind it, and that will be headed towards the east coast in about 5 to 7 days. And there are some computer forecast models that tend to phase these two systems together, the deep upper level trough with a lot of cold air behind it, and the tropical system that should be off the west coast, over the western Atlantic by the weekend. Let's take a look at the current situation and the main players on the field. First of all, this is the 500 millibar map for this morning, and here's a deep upper level trough getting it into shape here off the west coast of the U.S. And again, this will be slowly driving to the east towards the east coast by the end of the weekend. Meanwhile, let's now take a look over the Caribbean Sea. And here's a colorized infrared image from the SSEC Wisconsin website. Here is this particular area of interest. Again, it is not a tropical storm at this time, but it looks like it'll intensify. Eventually, it may consolidate and then move over Jamaica and Cuba into the western Atlantic. At the same time, that deep upper level trough with a lot of cold air behind it, driving to the east and southeast from the middle part of the country and the middle part of Canada. And again, there's a possibility that they will phase together and play a big role in the mid-Atlantic and northeast U.S. in about a week's time. There is a model, the U.S. GFS model, that just harmlessly moves this storm out to sea. However, we'll take a look in a moment that there are other models and reputable models, such as the European model, that do not move this system out to sea, but rather up into the East Coast and having a potential major impact on parts of the Mid-Atlantic or Northeast in about a week's time. Well, let's take a look at a couple different computer forecast models for this particular scenario. This is jumping way ahead. Here we are Monday morning, and we're jumping ahead to next Sunday on the GFS model. This is last night's zero-Z GFS run, and here we're looking at Sunday morning at the surface here. It has a impressive tropical system right here, a 988 millibar low, cold frontal system with that deep upper loft trough behind it here in the Ohio Valley. But from this point, the GFS model actually tends to move this system out to sea from last night's zero-Z run. Actually, during the day yesterday, the middle of the day run, the 12Z run, it did not move this storm out to sea. It had it approaching the coast, and yet things changed quite a bit with last night's run. Let's take a look at the 500 millibar map. And here's the GFS 500 millibar map for next Sunday morning. We're jumping way ahead here. And here's the system, the upper level system associated with that tropical storm. And here's that deep upper level trough. But we'll take a look now at the European model. It handles things quite a bit different. It has a much more impressive upper level trough here headed towards the East Coast. And hence the differences between these models are quite significant at this time for this potential situation next Sunday, Monday, Tuesday time frame. Well, let's take a look at the European model. This is off the Penn State eWall site. And this is the forecast, last night's forecast run for Saturday night. And here is that, we're first looking at the 500 millibar. Here is the deep upper level trough as the European model handles it. reflection here near the tropical system, and here's that colder air moving into the Ohio Valley. Now watch what happens with the European model beyond this time frame. Again, this is Saturday night, and then let's jump ahead now to Sunday night and then Monday night. The whole thing phases together here. We see this tremendous upper level trough over the mid-Atlantic northeastern part of the country, and it basically phases together, unlike the GFS model, which keeps things separate and moves that tropical system harmlessly out to sea. The European model continues to advertise a phasing together of this deep upper level trough with this tropical system, and what that does at the surface is quite interesting. Let's take a look at that next. Well, here's the European model surface map, and this is for Sunday night. And at this time, the European model has the storm, first of all, a little bit closer to the coast here compared to the GFS model. So right away, we see some differences here compared to the GFS model. It has it just a bit off the southeastern U.S. coast, and this is Sunday night. Colder air is moving in from the north and west across the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes region. Let's now jump ahead. And here's the European model for Monday night of next week. Quite a difference from the GFS model. Powerful looking storm just off the mid-Atlantic coast at this time. Colder air plunging in to the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes region. And again, remember we saw the phasing together of the upper level trough with this tropical system. Let's now see what happens at the surface. And here you go. This is the European model for Tuesday night. The phasing together occurs, and it actually pulls that system from just off the mid-Atlantic coast to well inland. And this, of course, would be a major news maker here in the mid-Atlantic region and northeast, with a tremendous amount of rain and wind possible with it. At the same time, colder air is plunging in, and could even be some snow mixed in into this whole system, whole scenario in the higher elevations of the Appalachians and points north and west of there. So the European model is quite different than GFS model. It'll be interesting to monitor the this unfolding scenario over the next several days to see which model handles this correctly. But right now, there's the possibility of a major system off the East Coast in about a week's time. Of tropical origin. So we'll continue to monitor this situation here at the SIweather.com. That's it for now on the